What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to continue the conversation about position battles and what we can look forward to going into minicamp, going into training camp, and into the preseason. What could we see coming out of the defensive line? And specifically, I want to talk about defensive ends. We know who the starters are going to be in the middle. The real question with all those guys is who's going to be the depth pieces there, right? Raekwon Davis obviously just got paid. He's going to be here. They have Eric Johnson, Tommy Ade, who has a lot of promise. This year they drafted Jonah Lulu in the 7th round, and they have Taven Bryan, who they re-signed this year. So a lot of depth there at the defensive tackle position. We'll see who they decide to keep. But what I want to focus on here is the defensive ends and what we're looking for and why this is such a difficult conversation to have and to think and try to project is because of what happened last year. And when you look on the surface, you see good sack numbers, right? Colts as a team last year had 50 sacks, and you had Samson Ebicon leading the way with 9.5. Quiddy Pace second on the team. So the two leading guys on our team last year, why wouldn't they be starting this year, right? Even if you do draft a rookie who could be a phenom, right? It just makes sense to have those guys be the starters, right? Like guys that have been in the system for a year. It makes sense for them to start. And that's what people are gonna say. That's what I get that. I understand that. But when you look at it, 9.5 sacks is the best that we had. And if we unleash Latu from the very beginning of the season, there's a chance he's a double-digit sack guy, somebody that's affecting every game, right? That's really what we're looking for. We need somebody to affect every game because when you go deeper beyond the sack numbers, it's the pressure percentage. Colts were one of the worst, I think 28th in the NFL, I believe it was, in pressure percentage last year. So even though they had the sacks, it was either they were getting home or the quarterback was getting 5 seconds to throw the ball. More often than not, quarterback was getting more time than he should, right? I.e., the last game against the Texans, the game in Jacksonville last year. It happened for the Colts too often. It's happened for the Colts for a long time. So that's where the conversation comes in. And not only are we talking about Latu, we're also talking about Dio. Dio has been progressing in his NFL career, somebody that was talked about coming in, how he could be an absolute game changer if he comes in, gets healthy, and then continues to develop on the field. And that's exactly what's happened. You go to the tail end of last year, last half of last year, he was probably the best defensive end that we had. So coming into the training camp battle, it's going to be so interesting to watch how Quiddy Pace, Samson Ebicom, and OTAs are the starters. They're probably going to go into training camp as the starters. And will that change? Will Latu make enough of an effect in practice and in the preseason games to be able to force his way into the starting lineup because of how good he is? Or will he be rotational piece, right? Will he be just keep him as a pass rush guy, at least for the first part of the season? Or will they let him get into the game so that he can build a rhythm each and every play and make a true effect on the game each and every play? Latu is a special talent coming into the NFL. Things he can do, the way he can move, the arsenal of moves that he has, the counters that he has, his knowledge of the game, and just how much he's all ball. Like this guy is gonna be great as long as he stays on the field. He's gonna be great. So Latu could force his way into the starting lineup. And then when you look beyond that, again, Dio's a guy that is it likely that he could force his way into the lineup if Latu forces his way in at the left side? I don't know because again, Samson Ebicom led the team last year with 9.5 sacks. So are they going to make him sit? Right, he still has 2 years left on his deal, making I think just north of $8 million a year, right at $8 million a year for Samson Ebicom. Will they have him sit? And that's the interesting conversation because as I continue to mention, this isn't Frank Reich's team. If this was Frank Reich's team, Ebicom and Pay would probably start the year as the defensive ends. But in Shane Steichen's era, he's going to put on the field who's going to help us win the most, right? He's the head coach. He has the last say. He's going to take what Gus Bradley has and what he thinks, and he's going to let that be that. And if he thinks something should be changed and he sees something differently, at the end of the day, he can make the change. Shane Steichen will put the best players on the field, and it's going to be interesting to see how they decide they want to start deploying, especially these young guys. Right? There's a real case to be made that Latu should be a starter. There's a real case to be made that Dio should be a starter. I wouldn't be surprised if we finish 2024 and Dio and Latu are the two guys for the Colts on the end. Okay, would not be surprised, but there's also a good problem to have. Okay, when we've only talked about four guys, talk about Tyquan Lewis, a guy that has developed well. He's had some injuries in the past, but coming back, he started to show last year some of that flash. Obviously, not getting on the field consistently is what kind of hurts his production, but he is able to make a difference on the game, both inside and from the outside. Okay, and then a couple guys that have come to the Colts over the last couple of years. Titus Leo got drafted last year, got hurt, but there is promise there is somebody that they believe in. That's why they drafted him. Somebody they believe is talented, so could end up as part of the rotation at some point. Isaiah Land is still on the team, and there are people talking about how he's just buried on the depth chart, but very talented. So it's a good problem to have that this position, like it could go any way. And it's not like I'm trying to slander anybody like, oh, Quiddy shouldn't be starting. Like I don't think Quiddy might not be the guy that should be starting. Latu could be really good. Dio could be really good. Like this conversation could go so many different ways, but however it is, we have a good rotation, right? When you look at Quiddy Pay, Samson Ebicom, Latu, Dio, just those four being able to rotate, as long as our guys are able to stay healthy this year, like we're going to be looking really good on the defensive line. You're not going to have to throw Tyquan Lewis in the middle. You're not going to have to throw Dio in the middle because now you went out, you signed Raekwon Davis, you have Eric Johnson, Tommy Ade. So defensive line is looking really deep. Should be able to continue to create more mismatches. That's why when you have a guy like Latu, helps create mismatches. You can't double team everybody. So what we're going to be able to roll out on defense, hopefully we get to the quarterback at a more consistent rate. Okay, sacks are nice. Being able to affect the quarterback each and every time he's in the pocket, that's what we're really looking for. So hopefully we're able to do that. We'll see what happens. We'll continue to monitor this position battle and all the rest. We have more to talk about before minicamp and training camp starts. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when any of those videos or any other videos come out on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.